Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching Question Hour. Well, this is one show where we get you the questions that is asked by members and replies given by the ministries and the departments. I'm a host, Rajat KAIN, joined with my colleague, KRITI MISHRA.
Thank you so much, Rajat. And as our viewers know, that Question Hour is a very important part in India's parliamentary democracy, giving an opportunity to the members of both houses, Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha, to question the government, to seek answers from the government, to fix accountability. And of course, there are different types of questions, the starred ones, the unstarred ones, and also the short notice ones.
Well, starred are the ones where replies are given directly on the floor of the House, whereas unstarred are the ones where replies are given in the written format by the ministry, and our show focuses on the unstarred format of questions.
And we'll get all the important unstarred questions asked by the members of the upper house during the first part of the ongoing 253rd session of the Rajya Sabha or the first half of the budget session of Parliament. And right now, of course, there's recess in Parliament. But how are these questions asked and how are these questions answered? Here's a small presentation for our viewers.
A member submits his or her questions at least 15 days before the office of Rajya Sabha chairman. The Rajya Sabha Secretariat chooses the questions to be answered through a draw of ballots. Separate ballots are held for starred and unstarred questions. The questions are scrutinized for admissibility under the current rules and precedents. Questions are disallowed if they are not in order. Advance copies of chosen questions are sent to ministry or departments concerned. The ministry concerns collect information to prepare the reply. The minister concerned reply to starred questions on the floor of the House and provides written answers to unstarred questions. Up to 160 unstarred questions are listed every day in a separate list. Well, there you saw how these questions are asked. So, Kriti, now it's time to begin the show.
And the first question in this edition of the Question Hour show is from Rajya Sabha MP, Mr. Kiroti Lal Meena, and this question is to the Ministry of Home Affairs. And the member has sought details about Census 2021 and whether the government has already started working on it.
Well, reply to this query is given by Minister of State for Home Affairs, Nityanand Rai. In the reply, the ministry says that mobile app for collection of data and census portal for management and monitoring of various census-related activities have been developed. Instruction manuals for enumerators and other census functionaries have been prepared. A pre-test census was undertaken from 12th of August 2019 to 30th September 2019 in selected areas of all the states and union territories to test census questionnaire and methodology. Questions to be asked for collecting information through the house listing and housing census schedules have been notified in the Gazette of India on 9th of January 2020. No technical assistance is being sought from any international agency for development of census questionnaire, mobile app and census portal. Well, moving to the next question of this edition. The question was asked by member YAJNIK from Ministry of Sports. The member sought details of any action plans so as to encourage rural youth in sports and sports activities.
Well, the focus has been on making India a sporting superpower and also to enhance our tally on all the international platforms. And this response has been given by Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju. And he goes on to say that the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has formulated several schemes to promote sports and improve the level of sports and support sports infrastructure in the country, including in the rural areas for encouragement of rural youth. These include Khelo India scheme, assistance to national sports federations, special awards to winners in international sports events and their coaches, national sports awards, pension to meritorious sports persons, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Sports Welfare Fund, National Sports Development Fund, and running sports training centers through Sports Authority of India. And in the response, the government also says that the details of all the above schemes are available in the public domain on the websites of the Ministry and the Sports Authority of India. And joining us on the Question Hour show is Dr. AMEE YAJNIK. Ma'am, welcome to Rajya Sabha Television and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ma'am, during the first part of the 253rd session of Rajya Sabha, you asked a very important question about promoting the sporting culture in our rural youth. The government has given a detailed response. The government has talked about several schemes that it has initiated. What is your take?
See, sports has to be promoted both in rural and urban areas. And when we talk about sports, we go back to straightway to our school days. And children who play, they play both all kinds of games. And whether it is indoor or outdoor. But when we talk about sports, we talk about outdoor games. And we think that the children should have sports as a part of their curriculum. Now, when we talk about curriculum, we also need to understand that children have to go to schools and they should have some kind of a fixed idea as to what sports has an importance as a particular part of their life. It is related to health, it is related to their well-being, it is related to achieving something in life, and the fourth, contributing to the nation as a sports person. But how do we put all these ideas into the young minds or the minds of the children when at the rural areas or in rural areas we do not have this kind of places where we can tell children the importance of sports. And that is why I thought of the rural setting. What do children need, or what do youngsters need, or what do school or college going students need to understand regarding sports? They should know that sports plays a very vital role, and one vital role, or maybe the most significant part, is team spirit. You learn so many values of life when you play sports. So rural areas are devoid of these spaces, devoid of these opportunities, devoid of this thought process which should be inculcated in this kind of setup in the minds of the children and school going children especially, so that they take to sports and we can have good sportsmen in the country.
So what are your suggestions for developing or in fact establishing rural infrastructure for sporting events?
See, when we talk about infrastructure, infrastructures can be both physical and also kind of a social. I always think about social infrastructure. So when you teach a child or when you talk about sports to children in schools, whether they are private schools, public schools or municipal schools at the rural level, because I am talking about rural areas, I would like to suggest that should be two kinds of infrastructure. One, you should have some kind of infrastructure where there is human capital, where people tell to the children that yes, reading books, studying, getting scores, grades is fine. You study science, you study geography, you study history, but you should also have sports as a part of a curriculum. That has to be inculcated by teachers. So you need to have some kind of a teacher base as far as rural areas are concerned. This would be forming one kind of an infrastructure where you bring a live teaching component in the system. The second is, yes, you have kind of educated children, you have told them that yes, you should play sports. The child thinks, the student thinks, where, how, who will guide me? So that is the physical infrastructure you need to put into place. There should be some very prominent physical spaces carved out at the rural level, that they are termed to be sports places or sports complexes, where children and students can go and understand how they can contribute to understanding what is sports. Then and then they can be a part of the sports themselves, and that is where they can become sports people. They need guidance, they need infrastructure, they need a place to go to, and they need to understand that yes, here is a field where we can excel, we can bring something to the nation, we can do something for ourselves, and yes, we learn a lot of other qualities while pursuing this particular sports.
Ma'am, any specific demand?
I think there are three levels at where the government can come with a very kind of a fierce working on the infrastructure as far as sports is concerned. We watch sports of the local level, state level, national level, and also the international level. And you find that children are intrigued by the sports. They want to take part, but they do not know how to go about it, and that is where the governments have to step in. They have to have some kind of partnerships with private people. They can take the help of the local panchayati bodies. At the state level, they can come out with schemes which can percolate to the rural areas and see that this infrastructure is created with whatever resources they have. And that is the place where I think the students and the children can go. They can understand, because now we are in an information technology era and we are all the time on social media. So children and students know what are the games being played, how they can excel, they know their own capabilities. But to groom these capabilities, to see that they come out and they get an opportunity. So this is what the government has to do: put the physical infrastructure in place, create opportunities by giving them guidance and giving them the sufficient incentive that yes, you study and we will have these incentives for you, scholarships, food, maybe some kind of coupons, some kind of travel exposure. You can do wonders, you can give them the equipments. So these are the things which I think the government at both the state level and the central level should think very strongly and come up with some kind of effective mechanisms.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us and speaking to us, ma'am. And let's move on to the next question, and this question has been asked by two members, Vijaypal Singh Tomar and Harnath Singh Yadav. And the members have questioned the Ministry of Labour and Employment, and they've asked about the steps taken by the government to improve the condition of labourers in our country during the last 3 years.
Well, the issue of labourers, their employment and of course their social security has been of paramount concern for the governments, and of course they have devised several programs in this pursuit. The reply to this query is given by Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Santosh Kumar Gangwar. The minister says government has taken various initiatives to improve condition of labourers in country through providing social security, incentivizing employers for creation of new employment, encouraging rural citizens to empower returnee migrants and provide livelihood opportunities during last 1 year to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 and the lockdown. Several steps has been taken by the government to mitigate financial crisis of labourers and protect them against economic disruptions due to outbreak of COVID-19. The government has provided financial assistance, food packages, ration and other benefits through relief package of Rs 1.70 lakh crore under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana in March 2020. In order to boost employment and livelihood opportunities for labourers, Government of India launched Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan on 28 June 2020. The Abhiyan focused on durable rural infrastructure and providing modern facilities like internet in the villages. Skill mapping of rural labour was also done to enhance their employability on the basis of their skills to enable them work closer to their homes. The Abhiyan involves intensification and focused implementation of 25 target-driven works to provide employment and create infrastructure in rural areas of 116 districts of 6 states with a resource envelope of Rs 50,000 crore. The Abhiyan has generated 50 crore 78 lakh 68,671 man days. Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Abhiyan scheme has been launched to incentivize employers for creation of new employment along with social security benefits and restoration of loss of employment during COVID-19 pandemic. The scheme is being implemented through Employees Provident Fund Organization to reduce financial burden of the employers of various sectors and industries including MSMEs and will encourage them to engage more workers. Under Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Abhiyan, the Government of India is bearing both the employee share, that is 12% of wages, and employer share, 12% of wages of contribution payable, or only the employee share depending on the employment strength of the EPFO registered establishments. Financial packages of Rs 27 lakh crore under Atmanirbhar Bharat has been launched specifically to create employment opportunities for migrant workers, workers of unauthorized sector, strengthening of MSME sector and promoting rural economy. It includes several initiatives for all these sectors. Approximately 80 crore beneficiaries have been provided additional 5 kg wheat or rice and 1 kg of preferred pulses free of cost every month till November 2020 under provision of National Food Security Act. In response to the Government of India's direction, the State Building and Other Construction Workers Welfare Boards have cumulatively disbursed around 5,000 crore to approximately 1.83 crore building and other construction workers during lockdown and thereafter. In addition to this, around 30 lakh building and other construction workers were also provided food relief packages. For the benefit of 50 lakh street vendors, the government has launched Swanidhi scheme on the 1st of June 2020 to provide them collateral-free working capital of loan up to Rs 10,000 to resume their lost livelihood due to COVID-19 lockdown. In rural area, wages under Manrega have been enhanced from Rs 182 to Rs 202 per day for the benefit of rural workers, including returning migrant workers. Ministry of Food Processing Industries have sanctioned 700 food processing, preservation and infrastructure projects in which migrant labourers can be employed. Ministry of Labour and Employment has taken decisions to extend the scheme of Atal Bimit Kalyan Yojana for other 1 year, that is from the 1st of July 2020 to 30th June 2021. It has also been decided to enhance the rate of unemployment relief under the scheme to 50% of wages from earlier rate of 25%, along with relaxation of eligibility conditions for insured workers who have lost their employment due to COVID-19 pandemic and related lockdown. Well, that was the elaborate reply from Ministry of Labour and Employment on steps taken so as to help labourers and, of course, returnee migrant workers. Moving on to next question that was asked by MP Bikash Ranjan from Ministry of Labour and Employment. The member sought details if the government is contemplating to, of course, revamp Child Labour Institute.
Well, the government has started National Child Labour Project Scheme for rehabilitation of child labour in the country, and there's a detailed response that has been given by Labour and Employment Minister Santosh Kumar Gangwar. He says that survey for identification of working children is the immediate starting point for launching and implementing the NCLP scheme. The NCLP project societies headed by district magistrate or collector are required to conduct survey within 3 years since the last survey, for which an amount of 4 lakh per survey per district is provided by the Government of India. Children in the age group of 9 to 14 years rescued or withdrawn from work are enrolled in the NCLP special training centres, where they are provided with bridge, education, vocational training, midday meal, stipend, healthcare, etc. before being mainstreamed into formal education system. During 2017, Ministry of Labour and Employment has increased the honorarium paid to the volunteers working in the scheme, mandatory use of pencil portal and online portal for effective implementation of NCLP, formation of State Resource Centre. The special training centres under National Child Labour Project Scheme are run by district project societies under the chairmanship of district collector or district magistrate. There are 76 active district project societies and the total number of special training centres is 2,422 presently in the country as per the information available on the pencil portal. And now let's move on to the next question, and this one has been asked by member T.G. Venkatesh, and this question is to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And the member has sought details about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana.
Well, the reply to this query is given by Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs Hardeep Singh Puri. The ministry replying in affirmative says that as part of Global Housing Technology Challenge India, the foundation stones for 6 lighthouse projects in Tripura, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu were laid by Honorable Prime Minister on January 1, 2021. The details have been annexed in the reply. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is implementing LHPs, that is light housing projects, in 6 cities with aim to demonstrate innovative global technologies, materials and processes to deliver ready-to-live houses with better quality of construction in sustainable manner. These will serve as live laboratories for facilitating replication of these technologies in the cities of the country. In order to select 6 states across country for construction of light housing projects, the ministry has instituted a challenge for states and union territories wherein they were requested to submit their proposals based on pre-specified parameters. After evaluation of proposals received from states, 6 states as above have been selected for construction of the light housing projects. At present, there is no proposal to include state of Andhra Pradesh for the project. Well, moving on to the next question of this edition of the show. The question was asked by member Vivek Tankha from Ministry of Home Affairs. The member sought if the government has resumed the services of high-speed 4G internet in Jammu and Kashmir.
And the answer given by the government is an affirmative, as high-speed internet services have been resumed in Jammu and Kashmir, and this response has been given by MOS Home Affairs G. Kishan Reddy. He goes on to say that considering the overall security scenario in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, the government of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir issues orders from time to time regulating telecom or internet services in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir in terms of the applicable rules and the principles laid down and directions contained in the relevant judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. The 4G internet services were restored in district of Gandarbal and Udhampur since 16th of August 2020, and restrictions on mobile data service in all the remaining districts of Jammu and Kashmir have been revoked by Government of Jammu and Kashmir via its order dated 5th of February 2021. Well, so those were the important questions and answers that we could pack for our viewers in this edition of the Question Hour show.
Well, thanks for watching Question Hour, and of course, thanks for watching RST. Well, stay safe. Thank you. Goodbye.